On October 6, 1789, thousands of Parisian women who had just walked 12 miles for bread dragged their king out of his palace at Versailles. Louis XVI climbed into a carriage and rode back to Paris, a prisoner of the crowd. No army did that. A loaf of bread did. 3 times in history, when bread got too expensive, the people at the bottom reached up and pulled a crown right off a royal head. This is how hunger toppled kings. A summer drought, and then a savage hailstorm on July 13, 1788, wrecked France's harvest. The brutal winter that followed only deepened the shortage. By the summer of 1789, some Paris families were spending nearly 9 of every 10 coins they earned just on bread, and the loaves kept shrinking. On the morning of October 5th, the market women in the food halls of Paris had enough. They grabbed pikes, a few even hauled cannons, and they started walking west toward Versailles, about 12 miles, in cold rain. By the time they reached the palace gates that evening, they were thousands strong. They wanted bread, and they wanted the king to look at them. The next morning, the crowd forced its way inside. They did not kill Louis XVI. They did something that mattered more. They made him come home with them. He rode back to Paris and never lived at Versailles again. Just over 3 years later, the same revolution sent him to the guillotine. Jump forward to March 8, 1917, in Petrograd, the capital of Russia. It was International Women's Day. The city was freezing. The war with Germany was grinding on, and the government had just announced that bread would be rationed. Women who worked in the textile mills of the Viborg district walked off the job, poured into the streets, and started chanting one word: bread. Men joined them. Within a few days, more than 200,000 workers were on strike, and the soldiers began refusing to fire on the crowd. It had started as a line for bread. It ended a dynasty. On March 15th, Tsar Nicholas II signed away his throne. The Romanov family had ruled Russia for more than 300 years, and it collapsed in a single week that began with women demanding something to eat. The rulers of ancient Rome learned this lesson long before either revolution. Starting in 58 BC, the Roman state handed out free grain to its citizens. By the reign of Augustus, around 200,000 men collected a monthly ration of wheat, paid for by the government. No work required. Feed the crowd, and the crowd stays calm. Around the year 120, a poet named Juvenal watched all of this and sharpened it into a phrase we still use today. He wrote that the Roman people, who once handed out real power, now anxiously wanted only 2 things: bread and circuses. Panem et circenses. It was an insult. He was saying a mob with a full belly and a free show at the arena will never ask who is really in charge. Rome fed its people to keep them quiet. France and Russia are what happens when the bread runs out. We remember these as 3 separate stories: the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, the fall of Rome. But look at the trigger, and it is the same every single time. Not ideas, not armies. A loaf of bread that got too expensive for ordinary people to buy. Kings and emperors could survive lost wars and terrible decisions. What they could not survive was a hungry crowd standing outside the gate. So the next time bread feels cheap, remember that it was once the most dangerous thing in the world. New food history every week. Come back hungry.